For many reasons, mainly olfactory, it's vital that you bury your loved one as quickly as possible, which means you have to shop for a mortuary. Before we begin, we'd like to disclaim that at least 2% of mortuaries are honest businesses that provide compassionate service for grieving families. That said, the other 98% are basically car dealerships for corpses, who will try every tactic to try and upsell you. And it will be very easy for them to do this. If you're newly bereaved, chances are you're in a state of extreme emotional distress, since emotion logic. You're more likely to overspend by thousands or even tens of thousands of dollars. Assuming you loved the departed, you want to honor their remains. But let's also assume that the departed loves you, and doesn't want you going bankrupt buying an expensive casket for what is essentially rotting meat. Here are some tips for honoring your loved one's remains without breaking the bank. Figure out what your loved one wanted. If you're lucky, your loved one will have left behind instructions on what they want done with their remains. They may want to be cremated. They may want an open casket. Knowing exactly what they want will make the decisions easier. If you're really lucky, your loved one will also have left behind money to help cover the funeral expenses. Unfortunately, you're probably not that lucky, so you and your family will have to foot the bill. If this is the case, remember, you don't have a legal obligation to fulfill the funeral wishes. It's callous to say, but you have no legal obligation to follow your loved one's exact wishes. For example, if your loved one wanted their ashes to be mixed into the punch bowl at their wake, you probably shouldn't honor that request. Assuming your loved one's requests are reasonable, you should also consider what the religious affiliation is. Some religions are very particular on how they want remains to be treated. They may ask for expensive services like embalming or open casket. And of course, as communists, we think this is silly. I mean, really organized religion? Really? You're gonna waste this much time and energy on a corpse? You gotta be a real moron to spend precious resources on some dead guy. If your loved one did want to be embalmed and have an open casket, know it will be a lot more expensive than cremation. You can cut down on the cost by doing simple things like bringing your own flowers. You can also save a lot of money by buying the most affordable casket. Don't be surprised, though, if the mortuary tries to emotionally blackmail you into buying something more expensive.
Really? That casket? Come on, it's your babushka.
If the mortuary tries to guilt you into buying a gold casket with AC, know that your loved one is deceased. So either A, they are in paradise, or B, they no longer exist. Either way, they probably don't care how expensive the casket is. Even if you go with the much more affordable cremation, the mortuary will still try to nickel and dime you. For example, they may imply that it's illegal for you not to buy an urn. This is false. You can carry home your loved one's ashes in any container you choose. Finally, you should know that you don't have a legal obligation to pay for your loved one's burial. If no one can pay, the local government picks up the tab. Governments generally don't want corpses lying around, as they can become a health hazard or evidence in a war crimes trial. Yet you should know if your loved one is buried at the expense of the government, it will be in a pauper's grave. We hope these tips help you avoid getting gouged by mortuaries. Remember, funerals aren't for the dead, they're for the living to remember the dead. And as long as you and your family carry the memory of your loved one in your hearts, it doesn't matter how expensive the casket is.